Hello everybody, I just got out the theater from watching Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. All around, the movie kept me completely invested, and I just enjoyed every single minute of it. Now, I wouldn't say if it's better than the Tobey Maguire movies, which people have been saying that it's like better than Spider-Man 2. Right now, I do think this might be like top two Spider-Man movies of all time, and I'm not too sure, because it's definitely fighting Spider-Man 2, but I think it might slightly have the edge, but I'm only thinking that right now. And we'll see later on down the road in like a year or two. Now, this is a very different Spider-Man movie because it's street level, first of all. It's not like some world-ending, type of thing. It feels very contained within New York, which is very nice. I like that a lot, especially with the Jean Grey stuff in the end. I don't want to spoil too much, but if you know, you know. If you're watching this review, you probably already saw the movie, so I mean, it is what it is. It was a very personal movie. I felt very like attached to it. I felt like I related to it. So I guess that probably did boost my liking for the movie. But it's also like this movie, it takes a lot of things from the Tobey Maguire films, a little something here and there from the Andrew stuff, and a lot from like the PlayStation games. And I noticed quite a few things when it comes to that, little moments here and there. And I know Tom Holland did say that they tried to take as many scenes as possible as homages to the games, which is pretty cool. And I noticed that. That was very nice. A lot of what Tom goes through in this movie is very similar to stuff that Tobey's Spider-Man went through in his second movie. They both feel very similar in that regard, especially with Peter now having organic webs and stuff like that, you know? If you didn't know, those organic webs didn't come from the comics. That's just a Sam Raimi thing. But anyways, in particularly, the movie's fights were, oh my god, amazing, man. With like Spider-Man, Punisher, and the Hulk and stuff like that. That right there is probably one of my favorite fights in the movie. That is gonna be used for clips for years until the next movie. One thing about that though, when Punisher was shooting the Hulk, like it just seemed like a very minor inconvenience because like Hulk was like, oh, it's like, but I guess you kind of just gotta like not think about it, you know? Like, it didn't even seem like he got any bullet holes on him or anything. It is what it is. The fight itself was very good, especially the Spider-Man versus Hulk portion, where Hulk was beating the shit out of Spider-Man. A lot of the effects and CGI, especially in that fight, were really well done, especially around Hulk's face and when he gets all sad and stuff like that. That looked really nice. But they took him out the story just kind of abruptly, like, it's kind of like taking out the trash type of thing. I mean, he literally falls from the building. You'll think he probably dies or something, you know? At least that's the impression that I got. I know he's gonna be in the next movie or have his own little thing going on sooner or later, right? I don't think he's actually dead. He's just kind of like cut out, you know? He's gone in an instant after that fight. I know that this is a Spider-Man movie and they're not gonna have Hulk for the entirety, obviously, right? Just would have felt nice to have a better send-off, you know? The Punisher in this movie, the Punisher, I don't know much about the Punisher. I still have to watch that series that was made about him like a year ago or something like that, right? So, and I will get to that. I think it's like a mini series or something. I'll watch that for sure. There was one joke that was like, oh, you're about to call him a motherfucker, right? And then he like shot a web in his face and he was like, go home, Frank. I thought that was really funny, but after that they don't really censor him as much, and then I thought that was really good because it showed that the movie wasn't going to keep it safe, especially that leads me into my next thing, the violence and like, people getting killed. Like, you get to see that a lot more often in this movie compared to the last three movies, you know? The other three movies felt very safe in that regard, and this movie, when it comes to its cinematography, its direction, it is not safe at all. This feels like it's very much trying to push itself, you know? Because I have a feeling that critics aren't going to be very good to this movie, because it's not like the average, this movie experiments a lot in terms of its direction. I do have one question though. When we get to see like the inside of Spider-Man's like mask, how is there so much space inside of there when when from outside it looks super contained, you know? Like, it looks like super tight on his face. Never understood that, but hey, it made for a good looking shot. Anyway, Spider-Man and Punisher's dynamic, really well done in the movie. It made me smile, you know? It felt very, they were both bickering throughout, and that was really good to me. I don't know. And another thing with Spider-Man and Jean Grey had a very synergized dynamic, you know, like with Jean Grey's sister dying and Peter Parker's Aunt May dying as well, and just kind of like relating to each other on the same level, and Jean Grey starting to have more of a human side to her and more caring, and You know, that the whole thing was really nice, especially when right after that, Peter sees like this black void in front of him, right? And then a gunshot. That part was really nice, man. I like that a lot. That because it's like, you don't know where it's coming from, and so like with that black void being there, it just really represents like a blind spot type of thing, without actually saying it. So I love that a lot. There's a lot of little like imagery like that in this movie, and I think that's really nice. The organic webbing, they actually did manage to make it look disgusting. I'm not gonna lie. Like the way it kind of like spews out of his wrist a little bit. That was nasty. Oh, more on the fights. Spider-Man versus the ninja. Oh my god. Oh my god. That was really good. It felt very like, you know, like this is the end for Spider-Man. We already know it's not gonna be the end. But it did feel like he was like at his complete worst in that moment. Until he finally took that chip off his neck and then started going crazy. I don't know if that's like a reference to the Man Spider or anything. I think Spider Noir already did the Man Spider. However, I haven't watched that series yet, but I will get to that as well. But I think it might be a Man Spider thing. I don't know how much they took from the Brand New Day comics, so comment down below how much they did do from there. Every single time that Peter gets mad in this movie, like super like furious, right? When he gets those black eyes and stuff, it's really nice stuff. Like against Scorpion and stuff like that. Oh my god. That was really good. It's the fact that it feels like it's obviously not Spider-Man. It's just like a wild beast, And he can't control that. It increases the amount of flaws that he has, and that makes him an even more beautiful character to overcome all that stuff by the end. Especially when his reputation starts to tank because he tanked a police car with Scorpion's tail. Alright, so I haven't mentioned one thing, and it's a very crucial part. Zendaya did a really good job in that portion where they were about to kiss Peter and MJ. That whole part was sweet for a minute, until something else happened. If you know, you know, I don't want to say too much. The dynamic between Peter and MJ was surprisingly different for what I was expecting, and that was going to be that they were going to end up together and, be a couple again and all that stuff. Like, oh, you remember my face, and something happens for them to be like, oh, Peter, it's you, and stuff like that. That is not what happened, and I'm very surprised. It doesn't do that cliche stuff. Crazy. The movie does not take many safe approaches, and that's what makes it special compared to the first three movies. MJ does not remember Peter at all. She does not. She like it doesn't connect anything that Peter says or this little note that he had and stuff. Nothing like at all. And so it just makes Peter realize that, yeah, it's over and he has to move on because MJ also does not reciprocate those same feelings with Peter that she once did before No Way Home's ending. Oh, and this one scene with Ned at the end of the movie, oh my god. It was a really good little scene, to wrap up the movie. Where they did the whole, like, special, like, handshake and stuff like that, and then Ned's like, Peter. That was nice. I like that a lot. Oh, speaking of the ending, post credits is not anything that crazy. I mean, it was like, well, it could be crazy. I don't know what it is. But it was like something outer space and on the spider tracker or whatever. And I'm not too sure about anything with that. Oh, speaking about the ending with the post credits, it said like Spider-Man will return. And I thought it would say something else, but that's literally it. Spider-Man will return. Not in Avengers Doomsday, not, just expect a second Spider-Man movie after this, which is good because I remember hearing in 2021 that they were going to make another trilogy after No Way Home, that Tom signed a contract to do another one, so that makes sense. I also like how tight this movie was. It was supposed to be 4 hours long, and I'm glad it wasn't because it might have just stretched the movie out too long and it would have dragged it out. But they might be saving stuff for later on. I'm glad this movie was 3 hours. That it flew by because it was very entertaining all throughout, right? And so every part of the movie from Act 1 up to the end, it's oh man, like everything leads up to the next portion, and it's it doesn't feel like it's leading up to something in the MCU. It feels like it's something leading up to something only in this movie. Although I'm sure they're setting up for X-Men with, all these people in the movie. That's okay. It wasn't anything crazy. Oh, and the comedy actually struck this time around, and they did it in places where it's actually supposed to be done and not right after emotional sequences. I thought that there would be a joke where they would make a quip right after like an emotional sequence especially with the scene with Peter and MJ. But they didn't do that, thank God. Oh my God. Definitely this time around, they definitely understood when they needed to put it in and when to not. So yeah, I was watching the movie like, cause man, it was really good. Like, it felt very touching to me specifically. Like I don't know, I felt something very personal with this movie, and that's probably why I enjoy it so much. And it probably will end up being my favorite Spider-Man movie. But does that does that mean it's like, you know, better than the Tobey Maguire films? It doesn't mean that. So I have to go check those out again, and I'll let you guys know. I'll do a ranking video if you guys want that. So anyways, this was a very tightly made movie that didn't feel like it had any filler, nothing dragged out. The action was amazing, comedy was where it was supposed to be, and it was actually funny. However, I don't think you should watch this movie on your own without watching the other 3 Tom Holland movies, you know? Because you might be very, very lost actually if you don't know what's going on, especially with No Way Home. So I suggest if you want to go check out No Way Home, then you should. That's like a very important movie to watch for this. My theater after the movie ended was extremely surprisingly quiet, but I clapped. I was the only one who clapped, but I mean, it is what it is. And even then, it was a very awkward clap because everybody just started leaving after the post credits. I mean, I get it because they did expect a little bit more, but I mean, come on. Like, the rest of the movie was amazing. I'm gonna have to sit down and watch this movie again for any critiques that I have or anything, because I don't really think that there was anything really bad that I could think of. It's not flawless or anything, and I can actually think off right off the bat Jean Grey looking into everybody's heads, especially the Punisher, and not having to reciprocate the same feelings that she did with Peter's backstory, when I feel like there was probably somebody similar out there to her, and I guess she probably ignored it or something. Fine. Peter was the one that was there the most, so I guess, you know. And Punisher was trying to murder her, so Peter was the only one that was trying to save her. Oh, and Punisher being there for Peter when he was at the hospital, that was a really nice scene. He was actually waiting for him to wake up. That was, you know, that's how you knew that, like, Punisher did not hate Peter anymore. It was, you know, like, they were actually friends now. I hope your childhood dreams were fulfilled, because that Spider-Man versus Hulk fight was definitely a main highlight of the movie, and I really love that fight. That's really good. So anyway, yeah, this is the most Spider-Man movie that they've made for Spider-Man in years, and I'll have to give it a solid 9 out of 10. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment below so I get to know that you guys want more movie reviews like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!